in the state too seem to be in the line of fire. In a recent incident, the house of All India Reserve Battalion Jawan was set on fire by a mob in Manipur's Thoubal district. This was in retaliation to the Jawan performing his duty after he foiled the attempts of rioters to loot firearms from the police armoury. This followed the incident where a 27-year-old man named Ronaldo was killed when a clash broke out between security forces and around 700 rioters who tried to storm the camp of 3rd IRB at Thoubal. They were trying to loot firearms from the police armoury, and let me tell you, every day Manipur is reporting incidents of attempt to loot the firearms. Meanwhile, intermittent firing has been reported in Gangpoki district on July 5th. As per sources, the incident of shooting has been reported in the Gangfai area of Philang in Gangpoki district. The security forces are closely monitoring the situation. Currently, there are no reports of any casualties. On the other hand, village volunteers exchanged heavy gunfire with suspected Kuki militants at Lekhthabi under Sekmai police station in Imphal. It is in the west part of the city on Wednesday. Though this has happened, but there is some positive news also. Schools across Manipur opened for class 1st to 8th. However, as expected, the attendance was low. Schools in Manipur witnessed low attendance. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi also tweeted on Manipur saying that the state needs peace to heal. He shared a link of his recent visit to the state. Peace is the only way forward and we must all work towards it. I'll be joined by Professor Bhagat Oinam, concurrent faculty, Special Center for Study for Northeast India. I'll also be joined by Mr. Romeo, Vice President General Headquarter, Mar Supreme House, Sameer K. Purkay, Senior Journalist, and I'll also be joined for a one-to-one interview with Lieutenant General Retired Konsam Himalay Singh, who is member of the Defence and Strategic Studies, Manipur University. That will be at 12:30 p.m. So please stay glued in for it. These are the visuals which are coming from Imphal, and we are trying to get you all these stories from Imphal. Inside Imphal, children have gone back. That's a very good part of, I would say, development which is taking place. So there are a couple of things which are taking place. One is that the armoury is being attacked repeatedly. School attendance is low. Oinam Bhagat will give us the inside story. And we will take you through the politics. So first, let me straight away, because I am opening up my discussion conversation, I am starting with Biren Singh's tweet as we open the school from class 1 today. And he's saying, I am very happy that the peace is being maintained. So the Chief Minister is saying that seeking the cooperation of everyone in Manipur to maintain peace and let our children attend school without any disturbance. So that is the good part which I am saying that is happening in Manipur. Let us play out couple of bites here, the school part, then I'll take the opening statement from Brijesh and then we move on. A couple of bites from the school institutions have also come.
View of the welfare of the students in Manipur, the government has decided to open schools for classes 1 to 8 with effect from today. That is the 5th of July 2023. There are altogether 4,617 schools managed by different management groups in the state, out of which 96 schools could not be prepared to open it because of the use of different relief measures. For these schools, we will be opening it slowly and slowly by making it alternative arrangements. When we open today's school after so many gaps, I have visited the schools personally. I have interacted with some of the students. They find it very interesting, very happy to see their friends together in the school. I have received some opinions from deputy commissioners from some districts that the parents are also happy to open the schools after a long gap. And for the welfare of the students who are staying at the relief camp, I want to say that there are altogether 12,104 students staying in 336 relief camps in the state, out of which 72.06% of the students has already been admitted to the nearest feasible school.
So the school visuals are here, and let me play out the tweet of the Congress party. This is the school part. This is the attempt which was being blocked and thwarted by our military forces. And now I'm going to play you the video which Congress party released on Manipur. Not paid by me. Nat upar kariye. Play out this tweet once again. We'll play out this tweet once again. Let me go across to Mr. Purkayas. Mr. Purkayas, how do you see this development of children going to school?
See, it's definitely a good beginning. At least the state government, in last almost 2 months, there was no sign of any governance in the state. At least now the government is trying to be proactive, doing at least something instead of sitting and watching the situation. So this is a good development, but but opening of school in itself doesn't bring peace. In fact, there are certain issues which need to be addressed. Otherwise, it can lead to a bigger problem. Like, see, the school is the place where children learn to mix with different communities. And so now in the schools in Manipur, if that demographic divide is not restored, demographic mix is not restored, it can have a negative impact on the minds of the student. So that should also be taken care of. That should be addressed. Because this should not perpetuate the divide. Now, as we are told that in Kuki areas there is no Meitei students, in Meitei areas there is no Kuki student. So this is not a very healthy sign in a classroom. But
Mr. Purkayas, you are basically saying in Kuki area there is no Meitei student. In Meitei area there is no Kuki student. So you have a ghettoized class system happening.
Yeah, that is what we are given to understand, the feedback we are getting from the ground. So this is not a very healthy classroom situation. The classroom is where the children learn to, interact with different communities. They try to learn respecting other community. This mixed culture, the diversity, they learn to respect diversity in the classroom. So that diversity should be, as soon as possible, that diversity should be restored. That is
Brijesh, yeah, no, that's a very important thing. Samir, that's a very important thing you have said. Brijesh, your response that, students don't have mixed classes. So you have classes in Imphal where you have children of one community. So there is no mixing which is happening.
Well, Karthike, yesterday we discussed that how it is a welcome step that kids have started going to school, but it was also pointed out by various people that it is limited only to Imphal, and in hills the schools have not opened. Now, as this information is coming out, I think it is further going to, lead to problems, because opening of school is a welcome step, but it is just a welcome step. There needs to be a lot more needs to be done before you arrive at a situation where you can say for sure that at least, political process has begun. And until unless a political process begins, we all are in a mix, in midst of something which is very unprecedented as far as Manipur is concerned. The fight between the two communities, the two ethnicities, is now taking its toll. And I think, if we see what Mr. Purkayas is saying, then it is something which goes on for a long time, will have incalculable mindset damage, if I may say so, in the minds of these kids.
Okay, and let me straight away go to Imphal. This is direct from Imphal. Professor Bhagat Oinam is joining us. Thank you so much, Oinam sir. I hope you are safe and sound, taking care of yourself. Namaste.
Yes, I'm fine, very much.
You're taking care of yourself. I have heard you are moving from one relief camp to another.
Yeah, that's what I was planning, but because of your channel, I just postpone it to 1 o'clock.
Oh, that is very
12:30.
generous of you, Bhagatji. Very generous of you. Sir, can you just take us through what you are witnessing in Manipur?
See, it's a very crazy situation. At one side, this gun battles is happening, right? But in other sides also there is some kind of indifference to what is going on. So the schools have been shut. Government offices are not. I mean, they are open, but not everyone is coming. And particularly in the Imphal area where cookies used to work, most of them are on leave, and they will not be in a position to come. Still, in many pockets in Imphal, I took a toll yesterday. I drove around. There are many places of cookie houses which were burned, but there are also some colonies like Old Nambulen and others where still there are cookie residents. But certainly it's not a very happy situation. Their movement will be curtailed because of the fear psychosis. So the schools are being opened, but it is unlikely and it cannot be even thought of that cookies children coming to the schools in a Meitei dominated area. That's the very sad state of affair. Our other panelist was also speaking about that. And so is the case in Churachandpur and Kangpokpi districts, which are cookie dominated areas, and the Meiteis are already displaced from there. So you cannot even think of children coming because there is no Meiteis left there. So this is the state of affair at the moment. But government somehow have decided that normalcy has to be brought in. So that is how the schools are open forcibly in one sense. And in the newspaper I read today, in the local newspaper, it started yesterday, but the attendance is very thin, 10 to 20%. And in some classes, I have seen only 2 children in a classroom. So it is a new normal in one sense that there is violence going on, but perhaps the government doesn't want the violence to take over the normal life. That is a very paradoxical situation that in which we are all living. So markets are opened in the city. So it, at certain sense, there is certain normalcy visible, but it can erupt into a very violence at any point. So as I moved yesterday, there were lots of police forces, pockets in different places stationed, so that any unwanted, incident which can come up should be checked. So that is what the government is trying at the moment.
But there is also one more thing. Can you just speak on that? On July 5th, firing took place between Arambai, Tengol and Cookie Defense Volunteers. Sir, you had reported about, society armed to the teeth. Sir, how come these weapons have become now so widely available to these organizations, sir? I'm just asking you because you are there in Imphal and I have got newspaper and wire reports with me, sir.
See, this is two, as I also gathered this information. One is the weapons that had been snatched away from the police station, right? This is not talking about one ethnic group.
Can you unmute yourself? Yeah. Yes, Professor Bhagat. Yes, please go on.
So this is one form of, what you call procuring of arms. You must have heard yesterday one Meitei fellow was shot by the IRB and the BSF forces because they came to snatch the guns. And even the sarcasm with which I could see is the justification that these people are saying is that we are not being protected, so we have come to take the guns to protect ourselves. So it becomes a very strange argument in one sense. So this kind of activity of snatching arms and procuring arms from the police station is one. But more worrisome instance or cases is of illegal arms that are being brought across the border. And I'm told that lots of sophisticated arms, M16, and then what you call that, which have a distance you can see up to 2 kilometers, sniper rifles. So these are INSAS. All these are very easily available. And that is something government is going to take lots of time to disarm these militants in both sides. And my fear is unless you take back these arms, one which were snatched away from the police station, the other which is unaccounted arms, firearms, which have been brought across the border from Myanmar. And we do not know the number. I mean, it ranges from 5,000, 6,000 to 8,000. That is what different experts are saying, because I have no idea how many the number could be. But certainly there are lots of firearms, illegal firearms that.
Okay, lots of illegal firearms. Let me go to Sameer. Sameer, is this illegal firearm complicating the situation? That is why parents are afraid not sending their children to school?
Obviously, unless and until these firearms, which are in the hands of various groups, are recovered, there will be no sense of security among the people, among the common people. So the foremost priority now is to recover these arms. But this recovery process is, very, very slow. And so far, only I think only 10 or 15% of arms that had been looted could be recovered. So this is obviously aggravating the situation. And day before yesterday, also there are incident of fresh looting in this heroic police station in Thoubal district. So. So long the civilian population has arms, and we don't know from the civilian population these arms can be shipped into even militants. So, and as you know, there are so many militant groups in Manipur, which is again further complicating the problem. So this is definitely a matter of concern, and the security agencies must look into it.
Brijesh, but how do you, ghettoization of residential colonies have taken place? But the ghetto, Sameer ji has really made
very important point.
Very important point. Very important point. Ghettoization of schooling is happening. मतलब पेरेंट्स तो एक तरफ हैं, बट बच्चे भेजे जा सकते थे मिक्स स्कूल में, बच्चे भी मिक्स स्कूल में नहीं जा रहे हैं.
Well, Karthikeya, this is what I was saying, that it's unfortunate that in such an impressionable mind and age, this kind of ghettoization is happening, this kind of othering is happening, and I think this will have a far-reaching consequence if steps are not taken to correct this scenario. But the fact of the matter also is that the government wants to send a message that situation is limping back to normalcy. Kids are missing out on education, which is very important for their well-being. But at the same time, as long as this segregation keeps on happening, because they cannot take security of the children lightly, and this is the reason why they're irrespective of how it is happening, they're just allowing it to happen. But I'm really worried about the kind of impact it will have on the impressionable minds of those young kids. That fact that that the cookie boy has to sit with a cookie boy and a meitei boy has to sit with a meitei boy. This is extremely unfortunate outcome of a senseless violence which is raging on for the last 2 months and more in the state of Manipur, Karthikeya.
But then one thing is also very clear, that you have, as Mr. Bhagat said, you had peace on one side, but you have a war-like situation on the other side. You have children going to school, but you have areas where mob violence continues.
Well, this is an attempt by the state government to send a message. Karthikeya, it's more of a messaging rather than an actual thing happening, because, we all know what the situation in Manipur is. The government wants to send a message that yes, schools has opened, kids are going to school, so that, some semblance of normality is written. Is basically, I think, more moved at sending a center message that, things are getting normal and all. But the reality is, as Mr. Bhagat has been saying, and, Sameer has also been saying in our show and all, is completely different from what is being touted. Until unless, Karthikeya, this is something which we have been saying, have we said so many times that it's almost embarrassing to repeat ourselves. But until and unless a majority of the guns which have been looted and all is taken back, is ensure that there is a massive crackdown as far as people with those kind of guns are there, situation will not return to normal. And this is one big problem. And going by the way we have seen how women folks come forward, or a situation is created where army is also kind of left helpless. It is not going to help the police or the Indian army to attain the stated objective, which is to disarm both sides and ensure that at least the political process begin. Because remember, one loony with a gun is so dangerous that it has all the potentials of torpedoing the entire effort of the state and the center.
There are a couple of things. Let me just read it out for the viewers. At the NSCN-IM, the Council for Nagaland Churches, the church body of NSCN-IM, on Wednesday called for Manipur residents to rebuild places of worship that were destroyed as the violence broke out, which means that they are calling for restoration of churches. National Student Union of India has urged the government to ensure safety and welfare of the students. Student bodies urge meiteis in Mizoram to help Zo people in Manipur. These are the developments which I am reading out. I am also joined by Glady Vaipai. Thank you, madam, for joining me. Left MPs will visit Manipur today. A delegation of left parties, CPI, CPM, will arrive in Violence State of Manipur on Thursday for a 3-day visit. The delegation will comprise of a couple of MPs. It's a 3-day visit. It is comprised of John Britas, Binoy Viswam, Santosh Kumar, K. Subrayan. And this delegation will meet the Manipur governor. This is another story. And we are also being told that a rally was held in Chura Chandpur in District 5. Village defense volunteers had organized the rally. An internet ban has been extended. Bhagat Saab, we see the situation in Imphal like a normal situation. But what is the situation outside Imphal, sir?
Yeah, that is the point. If you go to the periphery, which I am going to go today, particularly to those relief camps, things certainly is going to be different. I don't think the schools have started in those areas, particularly certainly the what you call the relief camps are most of them in the schools. So in those areas, classes I do not think have started, but I want to confirm once I go there. About your ghettoization, even the ghettoization implies that there are schools exclusively for the cookies or exclusively for the meiteis. But the fact of the matter is, in the Imphal areas, which is Meitei dominated area, even if cookie kids are there, they will not be in a position to come. There is a problem of security. That's a reality, let us face it. So is the case in Churachandpur. Of course, in Churachandpur, there are hardly any Meiteis left. All has been displaced. So there is no question of Meitei children going to Churachandpur schools. So that is going to be exclusively the Kuki Chinjo community attending the classes. That is what you can see. Even where I'm sitting right now, it is a Manipur University. Number of Kuki Jo students have been very huge. That is what I was discussing with my colleague here, whose internet connections I'm taking right now. But there is no cookies left in the hostels. So they have all left the university campus at the moment. Though I was told by the Vice Chancellor the other day that all of them were allowed to appear in the exams online. So there were, in Churachandpur area, in the Kangpopi area, there were examination centers. Even in the locations, the university made all the arrangement so that they appear in the exam. So in that sense, they have been little proactive, the administration and the university, so that the students don't lose years. But my fear is they will not have the facility of direct access to the teachers, even if they want. I don't think the university will allow them to come, because the situation can go in any situations. The university students among themselves may not have any problem, but they are also vulnerable. People from outside, some miscreant can come, and that had happened earlier.
That is a very important point, madam. Madam Gladdy, your opening statement of, I think Bhagat Saab said he's in Imphal, he's saying, kam cookie students hai wahan, nahi hai bilkul bhi. Or which Sameer ji also said, ghettoization, that's a very important point, Ghettoization of society and then the children not able to study together, not a good thing.
Thank you for having me. And
it's a pleasure,
my
madam.
opening statement is there is no cookie student left in Imphal Valley. I can say that 100%. And also when it comes to Manipur University, they didn't leave, they were chased away. The senior registrar, David Zote, and his sister barely escaped. They were chased away. Their vehicle burned. One vehicle till now is not restored, and wherever it is. And also school reopening. I don't know why we keep saying that. Bhagat Oinam sir himself says that the old tradition of head hunting has been provoked and has come back. I mean, such statements. How can we say student has to come back to school in Imphal Valley? And you say he's not sure whether schools are open or not open. I will tell you, schools have not opened from 3rd May till today in Churachandpur, Kangpokpi, and some part of Imphal also. So this is the fact. I'm so sad that he, being a professional of JNU, doesn't know that schools are closed or open. They are shut. Most of the schools in Churachandpur are used as a relief center, including government college, Churachandpur government college. They are all used as a relief center. People are staying there. How can we even say that school may open? I hope Kuki students will come back to Imphal for study. When they have no home, they have no place to stay, there is nothing left. How can we even make such things? Reckless statements saying that they'll come back to Imphal. And also, there is a
Madam, unmute yourself.
How can you kind of improvise? Yes. How can you say no work, no pay? How will they work when there is no home to stay in Imphal? When they are Imphal is not reachable for Kukizo. Let me also say one more thing. Let's move High Court of Manipur to Guwahati for the time being for Kukizo to do their legal process. FIR, no FIR, bail, no bail. Let's not use cookies though. People should not use Imphal High Court. This is my appeal. Let's move for a temporary time. Let's move the High Court to Guwahati so that the cookies will have a fair trial. No internet till now. This is my opening statement.
Okay. Madam Gladdy, you stay with me. Sameer ji, you also stay with me. Bhagat Saab, you also stay with me. Badi mushkil se I have been able to convince Lieutenant General Dr. Konsam Himalay Singh. He joins me for next 15 minutes. We'll listen to him. Thank you so much, sir. Kartike here. And in studio is my colleague, my input editor, Brijesh Pandey, sir. It's going to be a one-to-one conversation. That was a request from General Singh and we respect that. General Singh, my first question to you is, and I would like my esteemed panel to stay with me. General Singh, why has situation not improved in Manipur the way it should have been? It's more than 2 months.
Yeah, thank you for having me in your show. To begin with, this is an answer which I cannot really explain in a few minutes or something. I wish it was a few days. Firstly, I wish it never happened. And also, if it did happen, it could have been, to my mind, controlled much earlier from escalating into any kind of this kind of a violence. Having said that, your question is, how is it that it is prolonged so much? I feel that when there is an ethnic conflict, it is mostly due to fear of the future of their respective ethnic groups. Mark my words, fear. And that fear has gone a bit too far in the case of Manipur. And it has gone to a level of some kind of an existential threat, perceived existential threat. A zero-sum game kind of a, play in their thoughts. So the reason why it is prolonging, history tells us that most of the ethnic groups, ethnic conflict in the northeast region, Manipur in particular, have been prolonged. have been much prolonged. We had 2000, we had 1992-93 clashes, then we had 1997 clashes, many clashes, and it is a prolonged affair. While we should learn from history, I see no reason why this should not have been controlled within a few days.
There is a feeling that this could not be done because the political leadership was not decisive enough, General Singh.
I will not comment on the political side, but definitely the establishment, I'll say the establishment, all the pillars of governance was vertically split. In that situation, I think it was incumbent on the incumbent on other forces to come in and help out the state. But I think in this case, I think all the pillars of governance collapse or partially collapse to a point that the situation was could not be controlled. So your point is correct. When the law enforcement agencies are split vertically, I think this was it was really unfortunate that this was allowed to happen, and decision makers should have been little more firm.
General Singh, there are oases of stability, but what is also being witnessed in Manipur is that armoury is being repeatedly attacked. Mobs are trying to attack armouries across Manipur. Why is this happening? No, in no other state I have seen that armoury is being so regularly attacked. Is it unguarded? How do they know where the weapon depots are? Why is this happening?
If you are referring to that incident in Thoubal district 2 days back, I think it was repulsed with one armed rioter was killed also. I think they responded quite well. Any kind of such forceful use of force in order to attack armoury is extremely rare. And I do not know why this is happening, but I can say this much, that it is because of the, a very, very extremely charged atmosphere and the rumors spreading all over that, other group has got more weapons, other group has got more ammunition. This kind of a rumor mongering are driving these people into this, trying to raid armories and must be repulsed with full force.
But General Singh, for example, on July 5th, firing took place between Arambai, Tengor and Kuki Defence volunteers. Entire civil society is awash with guns. Guns have not come back. Guns are there. Armory is being looted. So it means that materially things are not moving in the correct direction, barring the oasis, which is the Imphal city.
I don't know whether Imphal city is oasis, but the fact remains that there is uncertainty, there is instability, there is violence in many parts of the state. And as long as the weapons continue to be circulating around in the hands of anti-social elements, this will continue. And these weapons are not only from the armories, but they are already, because of a porous border with and another unstable neighborhood in Myanmar, the guns. I'll give you one example. Between 2016 and 19, 3 years, the number of guns intercepted by the security forces across the border itself was more than 6,000. Just note that, 6,000. So you can imagine the number of weapons being smuggled or pushed in or pulled from this side. It amounted to over 6,000 in a matter of 3 to 4 years. I'm talking about a fact which is in the record. So therefore, these guns are not only from the armories, but also illegal weapons from has got a history of many insurgencies, and most of these guns are sourced from non-state actors from Yunnan province of Assam. And Myanmar itself is full of gun running business there. So therefore, our state is not in a happy situation as far as the circulation of illegal weapons are concerned. And this must be acted upon by the forces as early as possible. And we must not leave any stone unturned in order to, ensure that these guns come back to where, and also illegal weapons are removed.
So my colleague Brijesh Pandey, who is with me in studio, my input header has one question for you, sir.
General, I wanted to ask, you have been talking about the porous border, and we understand how difficult it is to regulate, all these weapons which are being pumped into India and all. One of the biggest challenge which is emerging is how to disarm the two sides, which have these weapons on their hand. And the recovery rate has been abysmally low, and also adding to the woe of the security, especially Indian Army, is that that the women folk come forward to make sure that their movement is unrestricted movement is hindered. How do you see this process of disarming these armed civil society, and how difficult is this going to be for the army, sir?
Okay, before I answer your question, calling the women mob, mob is a little too harsh a word. Mob means, wanting some kind of a destruction and wanting violence. Anyway, I leave it at that. We'll not discuss about the what you call as women mob. But I think it is going to be the strike force, the military has to be, I think they have to be, I have said it in some forum also, that military has to come in as early as possible so that any kind of weapons in the hands of antisocial elements on both sides of the conflict will have to be removed by force, use of force. And if necessary, we must use our specialized forces. We have it, the capability. Indian Army has the capability. Only thing is that in this situation, Army is, there are own people that there could be, collateral damage, which is, I believe, that they will be very careful about. But I have no doubts in my mind that in the coming days we'll see the military taking actions to ensure that such weapons are removed and they are not in the hands of antisocial elements.
General Singh, Karthikeya, let me rephrase the question. How do you see the participation of women, because that was a spear corps visual which you saw on the screen, blocking the army action? You would know that, sir, you have been part of the track too, that they blocked a convoy in which one of the militants was involved in the killing of the men from the Gorkha regiment.
I have said it earlier that such kind of action, blocking the military operations of any kind, is not acceptable at all. I have also said that Indian military or Indian security forces are they are operating under very, very difficult circumstances, and any kind of unfortunate casualty for any innocent people will not be at all in the interest of the nation as well as in the interest of the army. That's why they have to be extremely careful. As regards that person who was part of the ambush of Dogra regiment, I do not know there, but then due to which, basically pressure to avoid collateral damage, to avoid casualties of innocents that might have been responsible for the people to have been handed over or back to the civilians. I mean, this is very extremely unfortunate, but I do not know the actual circumstances on the ground.
General Singh, army can do the job of getting security, getting peace, but then the process of peace and the democratic process lies with the lawmaker. What sort of a peace initiative is required, sir? What sort of track two is required? What sort of a movement is required in a state whereby cookies and meiteis can come together? Because Manipur belongs to everyone.
Very good question. When two brothers fight, it is the parents who have to come into play. The elder, in this case the center, will have to make sure they have adequate strings and adequate means to make sure that they sit down together. And these, I'm sure that they can be influenced, or even sometimes they have the power to make them sit together. And also through track two initiatives, and more importantly, the CSOs. I think the center still enjoys that much of power to make sure that they sit down together, because dialogue is the only way forward. And Mahatma Gandhi's quote, an eye for an eye makes everybody blind.
General Singh, you spoke about civil society organization. But at least I can share my disappointment with you. I feel slightly disappointed with them because civil society organizations in Manipur looks like they're deeply aligned with on the political, ethnic and community lines. They have not created a bipartisan bridge to get people together, sir. Most of the protests I have seen in Delhi, they're all on community lines. Nothing has been done where two communities have been brought together by one civil society organization.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And effort in a situation like this, where it is vertically split, the entire society, I think that's what I said earlier. The center, I think, should be having adequate leverage to make sure that they sit down together as early as possible.
And before I let go of you, sir, because other panelists will come, and I had promised you this is going to be a one-to-one interview. So why does Assam Rifle get into such a contentious narrative? What is the big picture? Now, you have been part of this glorious institution of Indian Army for more than 40 years, but then, you know, this force should not be there and that force should be there. Why is that?
Firstly, the Assam Rifles have done a great job. You know, in the beginning, there was no police, no nothing. They were the ones who evacuated more than 35,000 people and fed them for 7 days. But there are certain suspicions in the mind of people. I said, I must quote this here in your channel, that one Colonel James Johnstone in 1982 wrote about the people of Manipur. He said, Indians are suspicious by nature, but when it comes to Manipuris, you multiply that 10 times, unquote. This is what he said. So the suspicion leads to all this kind of, things that, a particular security forces is siding with another group. So the suspicion galore. That leads to this kind of a situation where they say, no, a particular security force is siding with so-and-so. And another group says that they are siding with another group. So these are, to my mind, there might have been some instances of individual acts where they didn't, maybe they,
Okay.
Maybe, I'm not very sure, that Indian Army in particular has done a great job.
Yes, Army has done a great job, and thank you so much, General Singh, for joining me on this program. It's a regular program, sir. It's your program. If you feel like it, give me a call and say, Kartikeya, I want to come in, I want to say. It's not my program, it's Manipur's program. We do it every day. And especially on Northeast, at least 3 hours of programming is reserved for Northeast on our channel. So if you feel like coming again, just call me and say, Kartikeya, I want to say something on Manipur. You will be more than welcome, sir. On a 5-minute notice, I promise you that, on air. Anytime.
Thank you.
You just need to give me a call. A bad news is coming in. Let me share with other guests. Other news channels are breaking it. I am not going to get into the detail, but I have been told that a firing has taken place in Imphal in front of a school. Mr. Bhagat, if these news continue to come in, a firing in front of the school, how do you expect the schools to function?
Yeah, that is exactly the point. See, the schools have started yesterday, but those are only in the central part of the city where there are more security stationed. In the peripheral area, whether it is in the valley or in the hills.
It is in Imphal West district, sir. It's in the Imphal West district.
Imphal West, but it must be in the. So we don't know. I mean, even in those places where schools have started, I haven't heard about this news of firing. Oh, I am also told now by my colleague that in Ukhrul district and Senapati district, these are Naga dominated areas. The schools are started in full swing. There is no issues. So this is something new for me as well, but I'm sharing this for the viewers. In the Naga dominated areas, the schools have started. So through your channel, I am sharing this for the viewers.
Okay.
So the problem is largely in the Meitei dominated areas and Kuki dominated areas where there are crises happening. So about the killing, the firing, I am not sure about, I am not heard about it, but it must be true. And that is the sad part, that how could such a thing happen in front of the school.
And before I go to Madam Gladi, can you also tell us about the situation of the relief camp, Bhagat Saab, before I go to Madam Gladi and Samir ji? What is the situation in the relief camp?
It's not really good, Kartik. That is where I want to go and give some donation or anything, whatever I can do. The one relief camp, I have already been there in the youth hostel in the heart of the city, where it is exclusively for the women and children, and particularly the pregnant women. Many have delivered within this period. 7 to 8 delivery had taken place, childbirth. And that is slightly better than others, I'm sure, because that is already government building in the sports complex in Imphal. But in the peripheral area, things are not very good. That is where I wish to go today and see the state of affairs, because it's constantly raining. And within this rain, I'm not sure how things are happening. The food, the hygiene, the all kinds of ailment likely to come. And this must be the case in the hills districts as well, in Churachandpur and Kangpokpi. I mean, unfortunately, I am not in a position to visit the hill districts because that is not a very viable thing even to think of. But within the valley, in the periphery area, things I heard is not good, but I can only share with you after I go there.
Madam Gladi, your comments, if the situation is going to be like this in terms of law and order, even if someone has just fired a bullet, how will people, bachche kaun bhejega?
Kartikeya, that's the real situation. We've been crying for so many days. And the sad part is gun goes before the government. Very sad. And everybody wants guns down. Everybody wants the looted guns to be returned. And for the benefit of both the community, the Meitei and the Kuki, why is President rule so difficult to implement? If President rule is implemented, some kind of governance will happen. Some sort of, peace will prevail. Try 6 months of President rule. If it doesn't work out, we can go to another step. Over 2 months now, there is no step taken by central government, which is worth mentioning to stop the violence in Manipur. And then Bhagat Oinam says that Naga area is kind of peaceful, schools continue. But the problem we all know is not the Meitei and the Naga. It is the Meitei Kuki. That's the real problem. So I don't know why he keep going back to Naga again and again. Like one little gunshot can just turn the whole thing into square one. We all know that. I've been telling for president rule, the governor has visited our place. She has seen the real situation. I don't know why central government is not doing anything. Even the illegal guns will come out if the combing operation is done. We believe in central forces. If the gun that we keep mentioning for days cannot be found till today, why not the central government, the central armed forces come inside and find out all those things? Why are we going back again and again? The thing is, innocent lives are lost every day. Sunday, David Thek was butchered. His, beheaded head was hung on the pole. All those things should have stopped if president rule was imposed within 1 month or maybe a few weeks of the violence started, which is not happening. And then also the rain, the monsoon is going to be very severe, which means a lot of monsoon diseases going to break out. Medicine shortage is there. And also Imphal, the only development that we have in the entire Manipur, which is the center of medical colleges, the center of hospital, the center of airport, the center of everything, is not reachable for the Kuki-Zo community. Even bail, non-bailable, bailable, anything FIR for the Kuki-Zo is not possible. So the fight is also not equal. The fight for Kuki-Zo is like we really have to see that angle. They don't have internet. Obviously, there's no online where you can file cases. And even if the people get FIR, they have to be called to Imphal Court, Manipur High Court, which is not fair. Why can't we have 6 months or temporary or 1 year move the High Court to Guwahati High Court, where the neutral party look after into our problem? And also, we have seen the women hindering the progress of the army. We have seen them in the video. That's very disturbing. If this kind of news, this kind of picture circulated day after day, why do you even talk that there is peace in Manipur? Definitely there is not peace in Manipur. It will take time. The first thing is, can we all press for president rule so that, some kind of, like I say, some kind of diffuse the tension. This is what I really want to ask through this news channel. My Indian people, please help us get president rule. And also the border that Bhagat Oinam was mentioning, don't forget we share a border with Afghanistan, Nepal, China, Burma, Bangladesh. Why do they keep saying that the border of Manipur is porous? It's not true. If the state really wants to stop this violence, they can stop it. So my thought is the state a part of this problem? Do they want the burning to be continued? Do they want killing to be continued? Can the state burn more than 2 months if the state is not desiring? The public are crying out. And on the TV, the gap between the hatreds between the two communities are so much that if the meiteis say something, they're right. If the Kuki say something, they're right. So in this kind of talk, even on social media, the attack is too much from both the community. How can we expect normalcy in that? And the students in Churachandpur are no school for 2 months, which means their brain must be so toxic, so lazy, and then there's nothing more. If internet is there, at least they can conduct online classes. And also, what about internally displaced students? Can the government do something to move them to the neighboring state with a considerate, subsidized tuition fee? And what about even in Delhi, we have displaced people. Why not the government take up, do resettlement colony like Khyala, which was done during the 1984, time? Why are everybody just watching? While our state, the Indian state, is burning for all, it is two months over now. I don't know how many lives has to be, lost more, and how many displaced people has to be counted more every day. We are counting the casualties. Every day we heard gunshot. Why everybody is so silent? Why everybody is watching? Why the whole world is watching silently, including our prime minister? We believe in the central government. I repeat again and again. I urge the central government, even the gentleman before me
Gandhi, I just want to get Sameer here. You stay with me. I just want to get Sameer here. Yeah. Sameer, apart from this issue, the firing and other things which is happening, or for example, the functioning of the school. One thing which caught my eye, and you understand Northeast very well. Zoram Thanga has become very loud in all this. Zoram Thanga's day before yesterday's tweet was like a warning letter, It's like in a very sophisticated way. I would like that tweet to be played, Zoram Thanga's tweet. And that tweet said my blood boils. There are 12,000 people of Kuki chain origin in Mizoram. How am I supposed, he's saying that money is required. Do you think that this Manipur has the capacity to spill out to other regions? Let's play out that tweet of Zoram Thanga. Samir. Samir.
Yeah, definitely, there could be spill. This can spill out to other states, particularly in Mizoram, because Mizos shares this ethnic affinities with the Kuki-Zo community. They are, are part of that larger generic tribe called Mizo. So there is every possibility of this violence, spiraling into other states. But having said so, the leaders, particularly the responsible leaders, should be very, very responsible in what they say, and their comment can, spark trouble. So they should be very, if they want to convey something, they can directly convey it to the central government without, playing to the gallery, making comments on social media. That's, I think, should be avoided, because the situation is so charged. One wrong comment can, further aggravate the situation. And, the people are very sensitive. Even small things, people are, small words, people can twist it and then can interpret in a different way. So one should be very careful. Okay. And secondly, another panelist talked about president rule. I think, yeah, this is the right time. Actually, the neutral administration should be there in Manipur. Otherwise, it is very difficult. It will be very difficult to contain the situation. As General said, that when two brothers are fighting, the parents should intervene to broker peace. Unfortunately, the center has so far been not seen very proactive, and I don't know why. So they are delaying imposition of president rule. One reason could be because there is a strong resentment against president rule in the Meiteis areas. So how the majority community would would react to that? So maybe that is holding them back from imposing president rule. But but as the situation on the ground now, unless and until there is a neutral government, confidence building measures will be difficult. Like always there are chance of other community showing any positive move of the government suspiciously. So unless and until there is a president rule and some and the governor should also be changed. Like maybe some former general should be with considerable experience in handling this kind of volatile situation should be put in place.
To ask you one question, it's about the tweet which was put forward by, which was sent out by Zoram Thanga. Do you think that he is also playing to the gallery, given the fact that there are elections in the state of Mizoram, and what is happening in Manipur is something which he cannot, not pay attention to?
Obviously, because there are pressure. Obviously, pressure is mounting on him also, because as I said, they are the ethnic brothers. So when there are the Kuki communities in Manipur is facing some kind of trouble. There are always this some kind of churning within the Mizo society. So obviously, and that will have definitely will have impact in the elections later this year. So he is definitely playing to the gallery, but this is not the time to do such kind of politicking. Rather, the political leaders should be very constrained, should restrain themselves in what they say, particularly on social media, because small this thing, one wrong word can further flare up the situation.
Madam Gladdy, I would just like to come to you. Now the multiple media offices, madam, they are reporting that this reported shooting took place outside Shishu Nishtha Niketan School in Imphal West. These are reports, multiple media houses are reporting. A woman has been allegedly shot dead. Multiple news sources are reporting now. Shishu Nishtha Niketan School. Now, I mean to say, who would do something like that? I thought, I would read this in books like in Cambodia, Pol Pot's regime. Never would I think that something would like this happen when someone is trying to send children to school. You would do a shootout outside it. It's so disheartening. I mean, say it goes against the, what you call, the word civil society, the grain of civilization or public human decency. I mean, so any sort of violence is bad, but you choose a school to do.
Kartike, it's very unfortunate that shooting continue even in Imphal Valley. I think we have to see why is this woman attacked. I may be wrong, but I believe she must be half in the sense like maybe her husband is Meitei, or maybe she's Meitei married to Kuki, or maybe a Kuki lady married to Meitei, which is very good to study. Otherwise, the Kukis are pretty much not zero Kukis, I think so, in Imphal Valley now. So any trouble in Imphal, we have to find out why is the background about this woman has to be studied. Either the wife is, like I said, Kukizo, or the husband is Meitei. These people who are left over there, nowhere to run, we have to protect them. That's very, very, very important. And also, like you say, it's very, very shameful that independent and strong superpower country like us has to go through this level of fighting, this level of shooting till today. It is very, very unfortunate. Our armed forces are one of the best in the world. We have sent our Indian peacekeeping force around the world to African nation, to Sri Lanka. We have even helped our neighboring country to curtail violence. Why are we not able to do within our India? What is so difficult? Keeping the peace together in India. And also, I ask the opposition people, anybody in the government, to help us, be it TMC, be it JD, be it Congress, be it anyone. Let's work together with the center government and bring this little tiny, beautiful state of Manipur into normalcy. A woman killed in front of school. So how can the children go to school fearing for their life? How can they even study with that kind of trauma?
I think Biren Singh will need to really reevaluate this decision. Really reevaluate the decision. Hasina ji, thank you for joining me. How do you react to this? Schools being open and the reports of violence coming in. I mean, it's so disheartening.
I think, Kartike, we need to go back. I think our other panelists has just mentioned as well that in the last 2 months, unless we resolve the peace and security of all the community at large, reopening of school or reopening of any other public, infrastructure can always triggers more harm at times. So we need to first resolve the peace and order situation that I think the Chief Minister, if the state has failed to actually acknowledge that they need to bring in peace and security, then it's time for the state to also address with the central government the next course of action in terms of a peaceful process that will actually curtail all these kind of instant violence or thing which is unfortunate that just happened again with the children. I mean, like outside the school, because this is not a good sparking. You make one decision, you have the other counterfight decision. You make another decision. It has to be holistic. I mean, it cannot jeopardize, one or the other, because the element of, I would say, the people not coming together yet is still there. So we need to solve the larger problem first. than reopening school and brings more harm to communities, individual or their safety for that matter.
Hasina ji, Brijesh Pandey this side. I wanted to understand one thing. The point is that we have been discussing a lot about the problem, the situation. The thing is that there's a deep divide in almost every single issue possible. What happened yesterday was that the kids started to go into school, and that brought a smile on all our faces, in the sense that that at least there was some semblance, even for the pictorial purposes, that kids have started going to school. But with this, don't you think that all of it has gone back to zero?
It has gone back to zero when they have not addressed the larger picture of security in the state. The larger picture of security in the state, it's for everybody who have been locked down for the last 2 months. The larger issue, the safety for all the community at large, be it Meitei, being it Kuki, being it anybody, but everybody who is in the state of Manipur needs the assurance of safety. How does that safety needs to be brought forward? It's a responsibility of the state, and having a team to analyze what are the major need that is required at this point of time. So the Chief Minister will need to really bring the law and order situation with the help of the central government if he has failed to address safety for the community at large. That is where the crux of the problem. Showing to the world that we have reopened our school is not a solution. Showing to the world that we have reopened the shops is not the solution, when the actual solution of addressing these entire violence which are coming up in and out by miscreant, not that the community want this violence, but you will have miscreant from both the communities that will take advantages, at the end of the day. So you cannot bring this that it is the community who wants violence. It is not. It is not the community, not the children, not the women. People are tired of this. They're tired for the many, many years. I mean, in the region itself, nobody is embracing violence any longer. It's embracing any kind of, conflict any longer. They have moved towards a lot of peaceful progress, processes, economic upliftment. Even Manipur have seen that light of the day. Having worked more than 25 years in the region, we have seen the past, the present, and how the future young people are seeing more of returning back and creating more economic support. So it's not that they are participating in this violence just because they're not speaking, or they're not allowed to speak, or they don't want to participate in this communication to the outside world. But there are miscreants that will take advantage of this situation. So how does that, the state needs to take responsibility, needs to be addressed.
Sameer, see, the problem is that, this is what we were discussing, that, all it takes is one loony to do one act, and the entire situation goes back to square one. What exactly, according to you, should the government do, to ensure that at least there are baby steps, if I may say so, towards recovering all these arms and ammunitions which are doing the round, and the government has not been able to do an effective crackdown on people who are wielding those weapons in both ethnicities?
See, Manipur situation is in a way is the problem of India as a whole. The time we live in, the government, the power that be at the center or various states believes in optics. They give more importance to optics than real the real issues, the real things. Then there is also growing tendency of playing to the gallery by the leaders, making irresponsible comments just to pander to their vote bank. So and Manipur situation in Manipur, we are situation in India. This opening of school, it's a hasty decision, just just for optics. They did, because for over 2 months there were no sign of any governance, so they had to show something on the ground that yes, we are still there, the government still exists. So for that, the school has been reopened without proper
But Gladdy,
proper analyzing of the
I
ground
understand that you have to show a sense of normalcy. You can open school, but then sense of normalcy does not mean that it comes at expense of parents.
That is the problem. Why do we even have to show on superficial level that normalcy is back again? Why are we not even carrying the risky life of children and women? Why do we have to paint a very beautiful picture of Manipur, which is not the real story? Why are we not addressing a real issue? What about the dead body? Why are they not buried till today? You think the children will go to school knowing and other things like why is the central government not nailing the people, the culprit, because so many videos been circulated, of mob behavior. The 12 militants, they were released by force. We have seen all those things. Why are action not being taken? We want to curtail a lot of nonsense that's happening in Manipur, but the steps taken are all wrong in the sense like why are they focusing so much on school going? Why are they focusing so much on other things like opening shops and showing Imphal is okay? Why do we still want to paint a very beautiful picture at the cost of innocent life? Why are the real issue? Why are the culprit not caught till now? Painting of a very beautiful picture may not even last one day. And also, I believe, or maybe you all will agree with me, even the resignation of Chief Minister, who stopped him? And why make a statement that all my people in Manipur wanted to remain to be a Chief Minister? Or is it he's making it up? Because obviously cookies are very uncomfortable when the Chief Minister is involved, even across the table talking to them, because they strongly believe that the whole thing is not curtailed till today. If he is willing to do it, they all believe that the Chief Minister can do it. And then if we say he's a failure, then we are targeted. And then anybody who talk against the state government is again targeted. Even media are not free. Why are the senior journalists stopped not to venture out into the valley when they can go to the hilly area and do all documentation and come out with beautiful picture? Why is Imphal Valley so close? A lot of barricade, a lot of checkpoint. Why is all these things not addressed before we even open school? How will the school children go on a school bus, going to school, knowing that it's not going to be peaceful? So my point is, why are we so afraid to bring the real picture of the problem of Manipur rather than blaming a lot of things that is not true? Why are we not sending extra troops? Why are we not sending food aid? Why are we not sending medicine, medical team? Why is Manipur so inaccessible to even the neutral people? Imphal airport is so well guarded. Even the helicopter services to the hills are not effective. We know monsoon, helicopter cannot fly. A lot of steps that has taken are just on the surface beautiful, but in practical term, it's not effective. If it was effective, some changes would have happened till now. And yes.
And there is a letter by Digvijay Singh. We are going to read it out for you. Today a walkout has happened. Can you just take us through? Brijesh will take us through. There's in the Ministry of Home Affairs, this is a very important letter. It's in Hindi. I'll translate it for you. The letter is basically it says that 250 church and 100 temples have been burned. 2,000 people have lost their homes. These people walked out. Internet is closed. ATMs are empty. Children have been born in relief camps, and there was a lot of nok joke happened between the members of the standing committee. So this is part of the parliamentary panel meet which Manipur was discussed. I really hope Hasina, these issues were discussed earlier. The issues are coming into discussion mode after 2 months.
Well, I think this discussion that is coming after 2 months, when they fail to address the ground reality that has consequently took shape in different form of violences that has happened, whether it's in the hills, in the plains, in different villages, that has been, reported, whatever report has come from the ground. And that is something, I think, let's get back to what the panel has just mentioned. We do not need to show that stability has arisen in the state of Manipur if the state has not managed to actually take care of the law and order situation, or to bring governance into the process of what is required when they have to basically be the leader who leads the state. That's very, very critical that one needs to ask. The chief minister needs to be coming forward to actually address the larger issue that has taken consequence time and again in the last 2 months, that one, failure of law and order situation. I mean, that failure of law and order situation has arisen when you have these reports from the ground, how miscreant has taken to the street and they're trying to take the arms and ammunition belonging to the government. What has happened to those arms and ammunition that has gone missing? Has the state taken stringent action, taking central government support to ensure that those arms and ammunition that has been taken by the miscreant, whoever they are, whoever is trying to bring, what we call it, conflict within the region, needs to be addressed, so that it's a strong picture that they cannot do this. They cannot take the law and order in their own hands. Secondly, have they addressed how many of the people who are in the displaced camp at the moment? I mean, what are the needs and requirements? I know in the last bit is like showing Rahul Gandhi going to meet
Hasina,
many
can
of
I
the
ask
people
you, how many people are in the camps? What's the correct figure? How many people and children are camps in Manipur? There are 12,000 people in Mizoram. How many in Manipur?
So now, based on our state partner organization support, they have already estimated more than 20,000, where they're asking us to appeal globally for relief, because there are, less relief support needs that has to be met by these people. But this is only the numbers that has been brought forward by our partners on the ground, who are actually civil society, that are reaching out to us to get food relief that is shortage. But then there are many more. Our partners in Mizoram are asking for more than 20,000. That is in the border of Assam, those who have got into Mizoram. We have not even estimated if anybody has gone to Nagaland. But even at the ground, our team, who are actually estimating and reaching out that they need, is more than 20,000 people that are needing food, are needing basic necessity that has not been met. I'm not saying that the state hasn't done anything, but there are pockets being done and there are pockets not being done. They have to bring civil society organization to be, the people that bring in reconciliation of needs to be met, humanitarian support to be met, to also understand what are the other issues of concern in these camps and the people who are fled.
Hasina, it's a very problematic situation. The point is, you have people in the camps. Gladys, you have people in the camp and you have weapons and arms loitering outside. So, people are inside the camp, ghettos, and you have weapons outside. How can civil society function like that? In civil society, weapons should be inside the depot and people outside.
Kartikeya, when law and order is not there, that is what you just mentioned clearly shows that law and order is not there in Manipur. Why are we still not understanding lawlessness to the highest level? Arms, guns, pictures of anything that unrest society can show is found in Manipur. Even with this, why are the center not vocal about the problem of Manipur? If guns are roaming around outside the camp, that shows total failure of the state government. Why are we not getting this straight? If total failure of the state is visible in all social media, in all news reports, why everyone is not pressing for central government to come and take care. If there's bhai fight that the person was saying, why is the father so quiet? If Rahul Gandhi ji, who is well known in our country, a great leader, car was stopped by a mob, a woman and anybody, think about the normal people. Kartike, I fear for my life. For speaking, for even coming to your TV, anybody who speak and who spoke against the state are targeted. We don't know the level of hatred that is going behind. We fear, almost everybody fear whoever come in the front line, even on social media. Guns going around, mobs everywhere. Chief Minister, terms and conditions decided by anybody. That means even the state at that level have failed. Why don't we understand? Lawlessness, rampant, a basic need of water, basic need of food, medicine. I mean, 20,000, what ma'am has said. But imagine 50 plus who internally displaced people. Have the state government done anything to protect their, why do they even run after vote? Why can't they protect the voter who bring them to power? 2-term, the people choose them to rule over them. 2-term, they have brought the state government into power. But why the voters are neglected right now? They got majority. Are they very happy with that? Who voted them to power? Obviously, the chief minister is, let's call it the servant of the public. But why are the public neglected to the level where children has to born in relief center, where the feeding, breastfeeding mother has to depend on only with boiled dal? What is so hard? Are we shortage of food in our country? No. Are we shortage of security forces in our country? No. Are we shortage of anything in our country? Clothes, fooding, anything? No. Then why Manipur continue to suffer after 2 months? It's very easy to say, speaking on social media, but why are we still waiting to normalcy to just come with just a dialogue? Why can't we use anything, including the army, including even opposition party? I pray that you all come together. This is not the time to talk politics, that they are our party, they are this party, we're not the ruling party, we are this. Let's not talk about that. Let's save the life of innocents, especially women and children. Let's save them. Let's not make them see tomorrow where guns surrounded their schools, where guns surrounded their camps, where women become the ruler of the state, where the road is controlled by them, where the traffic is controlled by them, where media is directed from the airport, where to go, where not to go. I can verify that 2 senior journalists yesterday went to Imphal Valley. They were stopped 10 times. Media has to be neutral. It doesn't have to report one side story. It has to report both sides of the story.
Okay, Samir, you wanted to comment? Samir. So I think Daddy, I completely concur with you. Why should a breastfeeding woman have to eat a dal inside a relief camp, boiled? I completely agree with you.
See,
and one more thing.
Let Samir complete. Daddy, I'll come to you. Let Samir complete. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make one this thing. Quick clarification that media is not stopped from covering Imphal Valley. I myself had visited both valley and the hills, and nobody stopped me. Yes, there are checkpoints manned by on both sides. There are checkpoints manned by ITLF, Indigenous Tribal Leaders Forum, as well as Mirapaibis in the valleys. But by and large, the media movements are
Samir, are you saying restricted. Samir, are you saying that both Mirapaibis and ITLF are controlling the movement of people?
Yes, from if you want to go from valley to hills, you will find lots of checkpoints. Similarly, when you come from hills to valley, you will find checkpoints. That's there. Now about the solution, as you rightly pointed out.
Let me just read this news out again to you, because I told you, took everyone by surprise. The news is, unknown miscreants, they have shot dead unidentified woman at Kwa Khaital Maiki Koibi Mamang Laikai today around 8:30 am. At Imphal, police team rushed at the spot and another forensic team investigated the spot and assessed the situation. So, what I said in the program stands correct. Please, Sameer. Yes, a woman has been shot in Imphal.
Yeah,
Go
it's
ahead.
very unfortunate. But as you were pointing out, there are so many arms, in the hands of civilians, and how to recover it. The situation has become so complex that there is no quick fix solution now. And this, the establishment has allowed the situation to reach to this level, and it's not just Manipur, as I was saying. The general atmosphere of hate, it's these days it's very very common to other community. We have seen as in other shows, I had pointed out how in Assam this narrative has been regularly being pushed that Bengali speaking Muslims are all Bangladeshis, and ultimately we know when NRC was done, only a few lakhs were found to be doubtful, whose citizenships were doubtful. So here also constantly this narrative which has been pushed, targeting one community or the other, this has created a toxic environment. And now suddenly when the government is saying, okay, now ceasefire, stop this, it has gone beyond their control. We had seen when this one cookie organization wanted to lift his road blockade, there were other groups opposing it, and a house of a cookie leader was also burned. So situation has become so volatile now. It's not very easy to control, and unless and until there is confidence building measures and people genuinely start feel that they are secure, it will be very difficult to convince people to just deposit the arms which they have looted, the bunkers which were set up, just saying that no, we'll destroy bunkers. This kind of quick fix, there cannot be such quick fix solution. There has to be, bigger negotiations, dialogues between intercommunity dialogues to rebuild faith among each others. Now there is complete absence of faith, and there is total polarizations, and for that, you were saying that baby step. One baby step could be president rule, because there has to be a neutral administration seen on the ground, because when one section of a community has complete faith on the government, it's very difficult for that government to function. And that's what happening in Manipur. So first and foremost thing is that put a neutral government in place so that some semblance of confidence can be built, and then from there on, it can be carried forward.
Gladys, you wanted to come in? Gladys, you wanted to come in?
Yes, we have heard, all of us agree, a complete lawlessness in Manipur. Let's press for president rule. I appeal Indian Army to come in full force to stop all form of violence. That is my appeal. And secondly, the state should not keep asking officers to come and report and work. This is not lightening their burden. In fact, this is another slap which is already overburdened by them with loss of house, loss of earning, vehicle, everything. So calling them to report for work and saying that necessary action will be taken if anybody who failed to compromise with this request. These kind of things are very, very heavy on the victims. And also, when we come on national TV, we should not allow any kind of hatred. In fact, so sad, Professor Bhagat Oinam was saying that these headhunter people are provoking each other. Such words, such derogative words should never be allowed on social media. That means, do we go back pre-independent time, primitive time, that we all call headhunter, let's kill, cut, headhunt, all these kind of things will never bring the state into the glorious past. Manipur has fallen so bad. It was the host state of G20 summit. Miss Femina India contest was held. It was beginning to shine. Look at now, where have we gone down? And let's face it, the person responsible are never talked on anything for fearing of our life. We all know that. And also, I really want, before I go, I want to appeal. I really want to appeal all the faithful citizens of our country.
Gladys, only one thing, Gladys, only one thing I'll say, I'm not here to defend Mr. Bhagat. He said he became very emotional, I think that was the context in which he used, he didn't say that everyone should become a headhunter. What he meant was that society has come to such a level that, people have got down to killing each other. So that was his first day, and he told me, I spoke to him over the call, he said, Karthik, this is not what I meant. What I meant was I was appalled by the butchery which he says he witnessed on the ground. Like he said that the fields are open but farmers are sitting inside. He said, I was worried that what will happen next year when Manipur falls short of rice, because if you fall short of rice, it means that you have less food, and with the highways being blocked. So he was speaking in that context, but I completely agree that Manipur has not only impacted Northeast, it has impacted everyone in India, because no one expected a state to completely rupture like that. Divide on the lines of community. But to all my friends, we will be taking up a very important issue. You can join us on Friday, and I'm telling this. And we'll be taking up the issue with a very senior general. All my guests, I want all my guests on screen on Assam Rifle. And it's going to be an open discussion. A very senior officer, retired person who has headed will come, answer everything. Indian Army in its glorious tradition, splendor, integrity, transparency. In that tradition, the gentleman who just retired will come and take all the questions and break that narrative. Hasina, your comments on today, what has happened?
So I think we need to go back. I think all the three panelists today agree that President rule is the next course of action. We need to support that so that there is peace and security for all communities in the state of Manipur. That is the need. I also want to bring this back, which I brought for the last 2 months. Believe me, we work on the ground. We work with this place internally, externally, and cross-border over the last many, many years. I can only assure this, that the general communities or the community at large, all of them it's quite in harmony. Those who are in the camps, those who are in the villages, they don't want this entire conflict. Trust me, I am giving you some voice on the ground. But then you also have one group who are taking advantage of the situation and confuse the whole narrative of the peaceful reconciliation of people wanting from the ground. So we need to see the issue of Manipur at large at 2 levels. But at the end of the day, the people who are already displaced at this moment needs humanitarian support. And that is the responsibility of our country. And as a person who's worked with displaced people for so long, even the Indo-Myanmar that we are addressing for the last 2 years, half of the plantation of food that is being done by the host and the displaced people are being circulated, distributed, whatever is available. Why isn't it the state at least call upon civil society organization who's crying for relief? Let that relief reach as their rights. That's an important element. It doesn't matter which tribe, it's people in general. That is not being met. So what are we talking about peace when people are hungry in those camps, when we have people who are still waiting for some support? That's an important part. Second important part, if the state keeps wanting to push themselves so hard to say, we are managing, I don't think they are managing. We have been sitting for the last 2 months. I have been in all your panel again and again, hearing everybody. I've been really active in this channel, but nobody has even talked about what kind of law and order security support system, who will provide that. Too much of conflict talks and opposition talk about who is supporting what. then I think the Indian Army has to come with all the support, with all the sensitivity towards women and girls and everybody in the state, to at least give them the assurance that they are saved wherever they are at this moment, before we even take the next step of what next needs to be discussed. If these two things are not being taken care, what do we discuss about schools, about work? We can't discuss all of that. People can get out. You know, when I'm hungry, I'll go out. I mean, and I'll do anything to basically get what I need. It's a very natural human instinct, you know, that needs to be looked in any kind of conflict situation created, especially at a speed that is unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable even for me, who's just been there like recently, you know, and I'm being like, this is not possible to be done by just the state government any longer. Let's address that. Let the country come. Let our prime ministers of India, you know, let the central government take this step right now. We need to come down with a strong precedent rule to bring peace and order. And let's bring humanitarian support at the earliest. Let's involve civil society who are actually neutral to all communities to anchor the reach when they are unable to reach because of so many situations. Let that really take place. Then only you can keep talking about any other things, unless the state will continue to take another month, going on to the same thing we have been doing, going on talking about what's going to happen every day. We will definitely keep having this situation coming every day, because people will take advantage of the situation. Even personal grudges will be taken advantages at this point, because that it just flared the whole situation at large. So we need to understand situation on the ground from a different perspective altogether.
Oh, absolutely. No, before I take this conversation further, let us look at the visuals which have come today. Let us have a look at those visuals. These are the latest visuals from Manipur.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it. It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies. This and more. Streaming on the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
Mumbai's commuters are trapped in crowded trains. Traffic moves at 20 kilometers an hour.
The most important hurdle is its poor transportation.
Any Mumbaikar you ask, what do you want in Mumbai? They'll ask only two things, that is housing.